Welcome to Flickering Myth Gaming's 7-day replay. I'm this week's host, Gerald James, and with me making the chortles is Alan.
Hi.
That's the chortle. This week we've got some stories to talk about. Only one of them doesn't involve PlayStation, so go ahead and hit me with that PlayStation shill comment down below. But we've got a lot to go over. So first up, and nothing related to PlayStation, you've probably heard about this ongoing saga between Epic and Apple, and the whole thing boils down to Epic wants more money, and Apple's like, no, that's ours because people are playing Fortnite on our phones. Well, finally, a judge has ruled that Epic can be like, hey, go buy more V-Bucks. Over here, you don't have to give money to Apple to do this. And that's a pretty big win for Epic, but it's a big win for games in general on phones or anything, really.
Yes.
Because this is essentially saying that even though the game is on your storefront, you are not entitled to profits after the sale of the game. Freaking huge. Me personally, I don't play a lot of cell phone games, but this can reach over to every other thing as well. It's like, I watch Twitch mostly on my phone, right? And if I want to sub to somebody, it costs me $6 instead of $5 because there's $1 going to Google.
Yeah.
But with this is saying, hey, you can bypass that. It's fine. The law says it's okay.
Yeah, this is actually a game changer for a lot of things in the phone space.
Either way, huge win. Not much of a joke here. Just I feel weird pulling for the underdog Epic in this one. So second story, not even that much of a story, just it's not a correction. We didn't make a mistake.
No, it
But
just changed right afterwards.
Yeah, but Sony did, and they came to their senses on this. This was with Horizon Forbidden West, if you saw last week. They're like, hey, if you buy the PS4 copy and you didn't buy the $110 give us all your money version, then you just get a PS4 copy. What are you talking about? Finally, they have backpedaled and said that they were going to, allow for a $10 upgrade. It's weird because I wasn't taking anyone's side on this, but I didn't necessarily feel that Sony was in the wrong on this because it's coming out a year, more than a year after the console launched. It's not like saying, hey, this is, what you need to do. But it's still hard to get a PS5. So it makes sense that gamers would want this. So I consider it a win, even though I never thought it was that much of a loss to begin with.
It's pro-consumer, and I'm never going to say something pro-consumer is a bad thing, even if you have to just drag them kicking and screaming into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very true. Like, I'll be the first to tell you, throw hate mail at me all you want. I'm okay with a $70 video game.
Yeah, I'm more than okay with a $70 video game. Video games were $60, $70 in the 90s, and that's worth less now.
I think I paid new in box at the time of release like $110 for Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what they cost back then. And that was in real money, not today's play money. So $70 for a complete game. And I'm not talking about like DLC after the fact. I'm talking about, not with microtransactions and such. $70 for a complete game is fine. That has nothing to do with this story. I just want y'all to stop bitching about it. On to more Sony news. They recently had their PlayStation Direct PlayStation announcement.
Okay.
Whatever. It's not a state of play. Who were you thinking that was a state of play? That's dumb. That's dumb. I know that's what they've called everything before.
Yeah, why would you Google that?
It's dumb. Idiot, Gerald. I'm not going to go over the whole thing because we'd be here for an hour. About how long that thing took. But we're going to hit on some of the things that were announced. Not going in order of when they were announced so much as, how important these were. So, of course, the Alan Wake remaster.
Woo.
I'm stoked about that. I know you could give a shit less. But Alan Wake was good times. This was big because this was an Xbox exclusive. So this remaster coming to the PlayStation 5. Super exciting, but the implications beyond that are really cool. because I'm pretty sure Remedy is trying to tie their games all into a shared universe. So you're going to have Alan Wake plus
Max
Control. Max Payne if they can. I don't know if that's owned by Rockstar or not.
I think it is.
But they're trying to throw it all into one centralized universe, and that's going to be super rad. Another one that was shown off was Forspoken. We have another trailer for it, giving you a little bit more backstory. Some people not so pleased with it because if you're old enough to remember, it's just the never-ending story, right? It's like modern day girl gets pulled into fantasy medieval times. I'm here for that. Like, there's another one here that kind of reminded me of, stuff like that. But we need more of things that you can look back and relate it to, a film genre or a film style. I'm okay with this. So Forspoken, 2 thumbs up until it comes out. Hopefully you're good. Next one I want to mention is they showed off something called Project Eve. Pissed me off a little bit because it wasn't Project, Parasite Eve. I'm still waiting for that.
Yeah.
Parasite Eve needs to come back.
Yeah, keep waiting.
Until I'm old and gray. This one looks like it's Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, Japanese spin, which I know both of those are Japanese games.
Yeah.
But
we need more of those.
It could be fine. It was just cool to see something new that looked interesting with gameplay. They announced it with gameplay. Always huge. Next up, got some bad news with Grand Theft Auto 5 remaster being delayed to March 22nd. Initially, this was expected to be in November. Mm-hmm. Just getting all the holiday season and whatnot. Pushed back to March 22nd, so I'm sorry if you took off time for this game. I don't know why you would. It's like saying, oh man, I can't wait to play Skyrim. Let me tell you how that story ends. Like,
They'll just release it again.
I can't wait to play that on the PlayStation 8. Also, we had Ghostwire Tokyo with another trailer. Not a whole lot to say there. Game still looks rad as hell. It's spooky. On top of that, we had... This one was probably the weirdest thing they showed. Because when it first started up, I was like, oh man, it's a trailer for a new Control. That's weird when they just showed us the Alan Wake remake. But we're getting a new Control game. That's so rad. No, it's not Control. It was just graphically similar. And once they started playing Everything in Its Right Place by Radiohead, I was like, oh my god, someone finally got Radiohead to accept money to be in a game trailer or whatever, because you don't see that a lot, except for with like Creep, because they don't care about that song. And then it was just like, no, this is literally Radiohead the game. I don't know what it is. It's an exhibition for Kid Amnesiac, which is Kid A and Amnesiac. Both great albums. Go listen to them. I don't know what this is.
Sure, I'm baffled and furious, though.
Why furious?
Because I hate Radiohead. I like Radiohead's music. I hate Radiohead.
Okay, that's fair. They are probably the most pretentious band to ever walk the face of the earth. Outside of Tool.
They're all up there.
But I'm still excited for this. If they throw it up for like $10, I'd pay that for the album anyway. So, yeah, cool. I'm here for it. Let us know what you think of that one in particular. Next up, this one was another kind of out of left field game for me, in the same vein that Dokev was last time we talked about this stuff. This was one called Chia. I think I'm pronouncing it right. It's spelt just like the seed plants, but with a T at the beginning, so I'm calling it Chia.
Okay.
This game looks adorable, but from a gameplay standpoint, it's literally like Odyssey of the Wild. It looks very Zelda-ish with a little bit of Wind Waker because it's like an island and you're doing some water traversal. But you can possess all the animals and such. So, like throwing a head at them, right? So that was my first instinct watching this was, someone really liked those two Nintendo launch titles, didn't they? And with good reason. They're good games. I will watch this one with great curiosity. Hopefully, it's something worth playing and not just a complete ripoff. Because I'll tell you, I bought that Ubisoft Breath of the Wild ripoff. It's okay.
Yeah.
But I want more than okay.
It's been a lot of mediocre Breath of the Wild ripoffs.
So many. This is where we kind of get into the meat of this segment, right? Gran Turismo 7, they showed off. Now, this one was a weird one because when you were watching it live, they showed the trailer for Gran Turismo 7. And you're like, oh yeah, it's still a very pretty racing game. But there was still no release date. Like, this was one of the first games announced for the PlayStation 5. And there was no release date. But if you go to PlayStation's channel, you'll see that they've updated that. And at the end it says March 4th. So, it's soon. Not this holiday season soon, but it's still soon. And I still swear that, like, end of January up until the middle of March, it's going to become overcrowded.
Yeah, so they don't give a release date at all, and then they give a very specific one?
Yeah.
Like the next day?
I'm wondering if when they put together the presentation, it wasn't set in stone, and then they were finally like, yeah, we can do March. Why not?
You would think you'd have that lined up before, like, your biggest show of the year, but whatever.
We've been working on this game for 28 years now. We can hit March. Then, beyond that, we had 2 big announcements and finally something shown. The 2 big announcements, I'll start with Spider-Man 2, right? Because Spider-Man 2 was a given.
Yeah, inevitable.
Yeah, this is a big franchise that Sony has the rights to. The first 1 and 1.5 sold really well. They play great. They're fun games. And they showed us a cinematic trailer. Womp womp. But it kind of told us what we needed to. Both Miles Morales and Peter Parker are going to be in the game, and it looks like your big bad's probably going to be the Venom.
Ooh.
I don't know. Venom, I know, hasn't been your favorite. You're a huge Spider-Man mark.
Yeah.
But if this gives you the ability to also play as Venom, like if that somehow seeps into the game, that could be cool.
Yeah.
That could be cool. To play as like a more brutal Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. But Insomniac were like, hey, this isn't the only shit we're doing. Here's Wolverine. Out of left field. I didn't see this one coming, especially because, Insomniac, even before this, has been known for their traversal in their games. So I don't see Wolverine being much of a traversal type of game. It's more of a just stab people with your hand knives. But the big story here is that's a second Marvel game that's exclusive to PlayStation now.
Yeah.
And Insomniac. Really weird. I understand why it's happening because, money. But it's just, again, to say, oh man, no. Apparently you've got to buy a PlayStation if you want any Marvel games now. Lastly, they ended with God of War Ragnarok. They showed off a good bit of gameplay. The game looks good, of course, as you would expect. Gave us a few story notes here and there. And they didn't really give us a release date. It's expected to be their holiday next year. But the big thing about this, and this is weird, is how much the internet is pissed about the reusing of certain animations. It's like, oh man, they're reusing animations from the last game. Yeah, that's what sequels do. Show me one single game that's like, oh man, we're going to reuse that animation. I don't know why people are in an uproar about this. I think it's just people wanting to feed into the whole console war and give crap to what's sure to be Sony's top game of next year.
It's a never-ending cycle, and it's exhausting.
It is exhausting. Get over yourselves, kids. But, of course, that was me talking about a bunch of games coming off in the near future. The future. The future's future. What about things coming out next week? So, of course, we've got 3 big games coming out next week. Big being subjective. The first one is going to be Deathloop coming out on PS5. That's going to be on September 14th.
What's the Deathloop?
Deathloop is a game that we've seen way too much of already.
Yeah, it looks alright.
Because I think that's Sony's only big exclusive this holiday season.
Yes.
And it's coming from a Microsoft-owned studio. Go figure. Aside from that coming out on the 14th for the PS5 and PC, we also have one that's coming on everything but PlayStation and Skatebird. Why could I not get this on PlayStation? This game looks amazing. It's a skateboard game where you play as a bird. There's nothing more to say about it.
Skatebird.
Skatebird. we're stoked for this. I'm going to buy it on Switch. I just really wish I could get it on PlayStation. That's going to be coming out on the 16th. On the 17th, we have another indie title that people are looking forward to, an Origami, not Origami, don't make that mistake, you idiot. Origami II. This is just coming out for everything but Switch. Yeah,
Probably.
So sorry, Switcheroonies, but you get every other indie game. You can live without this one. All right, I know why you're really here. You're like, hey, Gerald, I don't know what video games to play. I can't make my own decisions. Tell me what to play. So I've got a great one for you. This one, sorry, single people, such as myself now, but It Takes Two is a fantastic co-op game.
Yeah, Gutenberg.
No! Says, no. I mean, okay, kind of, but it's an adorable game that is probably the most tonally off-the-wall game I've ever played. Because there are times where like, oh, this is a kid's game, and then they say shit. And it's like, oh, wait, it's not a kid's game anymore. And then there's a really brutal sequence, and you're like, wait, what? This is weird. I loved it to death. I'm bringing this up now because we're about to get into the meat of the holiday season's releases, and this is what my game of the year would be, or may still be, depending on how things go with this holiday season. But this one, I highly recommend. You're going to have to find a second person to play with or learn how to control a controller with your feet, because it is co-op only. But I assure you, it's some of the most fun you will have playing a video game with a partner in your entire life. Unlike that overcooked bullshit, which will make you want to kill people. Thank you for spending another week here with us, talking about video games and all of the exciting things coming out way in the future. Hopefully we're still alive for it. Like, subscribe, see you next week.